Welcome back to Factorio 0.17. And there we got some research going. I've got my research going with military science pack queued up, and a few other things are pretty much ready to be put on the queue. We could get faster lab research speed, that's always a possibility, although that will heavily jump us towards having to need to go to other things, but why don't we just add that on there while we get started. Maybe some plastics. And logistics too. Yeah, I don't generally need red belt at this stage of the game, so I'm not going to worry about that. Lubricant we can add, there's no problem there. And then there's other stuff that we're going to need, like advanced electronics, that gets us into red circuits, which is quite important to actually get to at some point. And then we've got blue science, which will queue up after that, I would have assumed. What do we actually need for that? Advanced circuits, engines. Have we got engines already? I think we may have already researched it, so we'll add that on as well. Noticed I don't actually find a way to drag and drop these in an order. It'd be nice if the developers are listening, or if someone forwards it to them, if you could actually rearrange these, not by cancelling and re-putting them in, but dragging and dropping the order. But anyway, we've got to get started with the whole game. So you've seen I've now copied the iron setup a couple of times, ghost copies with the new Control-C interface. And then also on the end, I've put an entirely separate line, including separate iron miners, and when I need to actually just go and make a few more of those, let me just queue up a few to be built. What I'm actually short of, I'm just short of iron, so I'll go and pick up some of those. But the concept is pretty much the same. We have iron ore coming in, coal going in both sides, and then them going into a second set of furnaces, which will then provide steel. Steel is going in down here, down into our usual pass-through buffer. And I think on the previous episode, I may have not have actually linked this so that they pass all the way through. I may have made it so they have to go through these boxes. No, what I generally want is them to pass through, and if it gets blocked up, we'll just have a backup buffer, if you like, for that. And that does mean that we can get a lot of steel in our inventory, which lets us create a few other things. And I'm just going to go and grab some more iron. Always useful to have some in your inventory. Further down, some changes I've made. Just upgraded these to the second tier of assembly machines. And over here, I've sped things up a little bit. So we're now using fast inserters on the gears. Gears tend to just be used to put a rate of knots. I didn't get a comment to saying, please don't put gears on the main bus. I'm so tempted, but yeah, I suppose we should all make them locally. In any case, I've also extended this system to basically craft inserters, which just go into a box. So I'm not going to use them off the line. I'll have a separate set of things going. And the reason for this is that you'll later want to jump across into other kind of inserters. And if you have them in boxes along here, I can just go run along and grab them. Because if you need to craft, let's say, a fast inserter, you need the same stuff. You need, a yellow inserter, you need electronic circuits, and you need iron plate. Well, all of those are already here. So if we wanted to right now, why don't we just do that? Let's put it something like here. And then if we, actually I'm going to need to split the electronic circuits, but that still won't be a problem. Let's just craft one of those, and let's put it like that. And we'll use a long-headed inserter to go between the two. And we'll just set this to our fast inserters. And across it goes. They just need to be supplied with electronics and the iron. So the iron is straightforward. And the electronics will just go for you for now. And this in turn will then make another set of inserters. So we can put in another one right here. We want to get some power poles, which is what the steel is for, essentially. We don't need to worry about anything else now. Yep, that's ready, and it's got some fast inserters for us. And this has formed the basis of our sort of our mall area, where we can create common things that we actually use all the time. And yeah, there we got some power, so let's just put it there. And similarly, we may have a further one that we go across. We'll also need maybe to supply these to a different factory, and I may need to rearrange this to make red inserters. But filter inserters do need just fast inserters, and then we can put another factory right there, for instance. Yeah, do the same thing. And that just needs to be extended. In fact, we don't even need to extend the iron. I think it's just straightforward. So let's just put you in there. And that can work. We just need to set this as filter inserters. and a inserter at the top, a box at the bottom, and there we're done. So we have all our three different common types of inserters. We will probably need to get something else for the last type, but we can just extend these two lines along, create a new factory or a new assembly machine for creating red, yellow, and then just go straight into red if we want to keep it with the same layout. In any case, I can get anything I want from here, and I'm just going to restrict these boxes just so they don't start making mass amounts. There will be a drain on our electronics. Okay, and all the way over here, we've got this line running across to the other side, all the way over to where our green science and red science setup is located. So that's doing perfectly well. And we've also got many, many more. I think I've got double the amount of science labs over there. And that has an effect, obviously, on the draw of red and green science packs. But we're okay with those. And we're ready to move on to the next thing. So the next thing for us to think about is military science packs. They're the grey science packs. They are now available, and they need three things, and that has changed. The recipe used to require turrets, I think? My memory's already gone from 0.16. In any case, it now requires 2 walls. Now, the 2 other ingredients are the same as before. Generally, you're going to require 4 things for those first 2 requirements. You're going to need iron, you're going to need copper, you're going to need steel, and I want to say you need coal as well, because coal happens to be something that you use for the grenades. So if we're going to have coal, I think I'm going to put a coal line down the middle of this area. And we're going to bring it all the way from the top, so I should probably go and pick up some more belt. But I'm going to put it down between the iron and coal and bring it either closer to the copper or closer to the steel, etc. We can always rework it later if we need to. So let's just go and grab, where's my box of belt? There it is. So lots of belt. I'll just take it all. It's going to be running lots of it. And then I'm just going to craft about 10 undergrounds, and we'll bring that coal down. Just to explain a little bit further, so if we have a look at the military side of things, the piercing rounds require copper, lots of it, steel, yeah, a little bit, and the firearm magazine, which only requires iron. So iron plus copper plus steel is one thing, and the grenade is 10 coal and 5 iron. So again, relatively straightforward recipes. Should I just bring it off that line? I would just bring it off here. I think I'll bring it off here for now. We can always rearrange it later. So let's just grab a splitter or 2. 1 splitter will do for now. And if we want to bring the line right through the middle here, there we go. We can just put our splitter in, and coal will start coming down, and I'll bring it all the way down here. And yes, we could pull it off one of these lines if they weren't mixed, but I'm not too concerned about it. There we go. Should we run it this way, going underground this way? Yeah. I think I want some nice continuous vertical lines, and then just have the horizontal lines just... Oops, that's the wrong way around. That won't work. There we go. Much better. Same thing here. And we're done. So we have our line of coal coming down. Now, just by sheer happenstance, and I happen to have this huge pile of stone here. Nice area to do this. We've actually got uranium further down. It's kind of going to be kind of cool later in the game. However, for now, we're going to want to basically put some miners in place for this. And that you can go for your typical belt sort of approach, but you can also do something like, let's just make sure we got enough room. So let's say we make sure we got enough room by putting it down here. We can then just put these in place, pointing straight into, direct insert into, you know, furnaces, essentially. Is furnaces? Yeah, we're going to be burning up into bricks, I guess. And we could just put them in like that. I'm not going to worry, like, for example, we could put the one here. Okay. This is something that happens more often in Bob's mods than anything else. I'm not going to worry about that sort of thing. I just want to have things neatly laid out. So our coal's over here, and we can always bring things in. So we're just going to put it down a few mining drills, and let's just put them here for now because I'm going to bring this round. And let's just put 8 in. This is going to be way too much. In fact, let's just put 4 in. I think it's going to be way too much anyway. And we'll run them down and around because I don't want to use up too much space anywhere near the main belts. Okay. And we'll just grab stuff off those. Do we have power poles nearby? I haven't run down the main bus power poles yet. Let's actually just put them in from here. And I actually want to say we want to go further down. So let's just put them... That's annoying. If I'm going to use 4, let me just put them one further apart. Just so I can get a single power pole. Like that. Okay, so they're going to start producing stone. Then we can put them into furnaces, and we're going to get to the next tier of furnaces. In fact, we've already got to the next tier of furnaces, but we need stone brick for that, which is handy because that's what we are actually just about to produce. So let's just get some stone bricks going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll see if we need any more other than that. Let's put some electricity on the subject. Go there. Okay, and then we can just feed in. And again, we can just do something rather simple, just to supply this with coal. And yes, we could split belt, but I'm not going to worry about split belting just yet. In fact, pretty much from now on, I think I'm pretty much going to just stay with actual dedicated belts. Alright, there they go. And now we'll be able to just grab some long inserters. And one more. I should go and pick up a stack of those that are inevitably going to be building up in our other system. And let's build some more power poles. Okay, so now we're going to get a lot of stone bricks. Stone bricks will let us make the next tier of furnaces, which we can then use to improve all the stuff up here. You can run along and just replace them one for one. It's only the 3rd tier of furnace which requires a different layout. So for now, we'll be able to upgrade them in place. I'm going to basically wanting to build up stone brick, however, for that to happen. And one thing I have noticed in E03 17 as well is you don't have to craft axes anymore. They're just a research item, and whenever you craft a research item, they basically speed up your hand pick, your hand mining. I'm much in favor of that. I don't need the ability to craft steel axes or even iron axes. I even looked for iron axes to craft when I first started the game. I'm like, I couldn't even see them. Okay, so that's all well and good. And then we can just craft the basically wherever we want the stone brick. In this case, we're going to, I think, send them this way. And then I'm going to just box some of them, because that is one of the things that we're going to need for the furnaces. And maybe we'll automatically craft those. In fact, can we automatically craft those just straight away? What are the furnaces? They require steel, plate, and stone brick. And if we're already going to be getting both of those for the other parts of the military science, why don't we think about combining them to there? The walls, on the other hand, walls will just require stone brick alone. So yeah, we're going to want to split this up a little bit. And make sure, of course, we've got actual some inserters, putting this onto the line. Okay, and over here then, we're going to take some of that off the line and then produce some walls. I'm not sure how many of them we're going to need. We'll figure it out once I've got a few of the machines down. We'll just have a nice little layout for that to work with. Let's say we put them from here on out. And that just means I can put a nice set of power poles there. And let's tell it to make walls. Move this across, and now we have walls being produced. Okay, on this side, we can then send this out. And that forms the first ingredient. The rest of the ingredients are a little bit more complex, but we can actually put them together. So the sort of eventual place that we're going to assemble all these into grey science, we want probably right here where these walls are. So again, I'm just going to just test this out by putting, let's say we want our grey science right here. And there it is. Okay, So that will already work. You normally don't need so much military science. It gets used a little bit, but not a huge amount. That doesn't mean, however, for this to work, we're going to want to feed in a split belt of, well, what's the most components for the grey science? Let's have a look. We use walls more than anything else, so we could put piercing rounds and grenades on the same belt, and that would put them, you know, here or something. And then we'd have an output belt or an input belt, whichever way around we put this, so that everything can go parallel and we can just feed stuff back out. All right. Yes, we might want that to be a long-handed inserter. So we can just wait for those. Now, we're going to want to bring in a lot of the stuff from over here. So I'm going to need to run down these belts down a little bit further. And do the same thing with copper. Copper isn't really used all that much in the early game, but it will be much later. And then, of course, coal. I haven't rated our coal for, our coal miners, by the way. Oh, and we're out of research to actually do. What do I actually want to do next? Concrete's nice to have a running floor for that kind of thing. But we're heavily going into blue science at this point, so we need to probably do some other stuff. So let's just start up sulfur. Modules, we could start up quite early. Mining productivity, cool, that's not a problem with me. And electric engines are needed for later stuff, but they are earlier science needed to actually unlock them. Again, because I'm not playing with biters, I'm not going to worry too much about the armor or the turrets. But if we wanted like a power armor later, we will need to go through that. So I'm not going to worry about the weapons, but the armor itself, I will actually upgrade. And flammables is sometimes useful for getting rid of oil byproducts, but again, we've got other stuff to be getting on with. All right, so if that's our output line, and then we can then send the output line wherever we want. Generally, we're going to be sending it the other way. So if that's the output, then we're going to be sending it that way. And it's going to go all over here, and then join onto this line. Well, probably a separate belt over here at the top right of the screen, where our red and green science are. So we need to get that started. So the next thing up here is that we need to feed in on this line. Wherever we put it. In fact, hang on, I'm going to swap those over. That's going to be our output line. This is going to be our input line. That just makes things a little bit nicer for laying things out. Let's just make some machine 2s. So now we need to make two things. We need to make, well, three things actually. Firearm magazine, piercing round magazine. So that needs 3 different items just for that. And then the grenade needs coal and iron. So let's make those into 2 separate blocks. And I'm going to want, let's see, for the equal amounts of iron and copper and lots, but relatively little steel. And that's a little bit annoying, because if there's just one that we need a lot of, we could put that onto its own belt and the other 2 on sharing a belt. But this is going to be a little bit annoying. So if we need roughly equal amounts, yeah, that's slightly annoying. Why don't we make firearm magazines and grenades off 1 belt of iron, and then we'll worry about the copper and steel separately. So we need to build the copper and steel sort of last. So we'll build, well, we need it to be the last thing, so we'll build it first, and then that just needs copper and steel. So we just need to put this stuff in, and here is our input belt. So how much room do we have? We have quite a bit of room, so let's just put a couple down, and we'll balance these later. We want that. Okay, so there's our piercing rounds. And these will then go onto the far side of the belt because they're below it. So we can then fit other stuff onto this side of the belt like that. Okay, we could even actually make iron locally, but we're not going to do that just yet. And I'm just going to feed in some power, make some more power poles. And then I'll figure out a way to arrange the belts quite nicely here. 1 second, I'll cut that off camera. All right, I think this layout should work fine. We've got a few things going on here, so let me just run this belt down and I'll show you what I'm doing. So let's just grab the coal, because I'm going to need to be grabbing some of that over here. And let's just actually send the coal over, or underneath the belt. There we go. And I'm going to need a splitter for you. Let's just grab that and let's create one. Okay, and let's bring the coal in as well. Okay, So now going from the bottom upwards, we're going to just grab another couple of machines. And we'll use these bottom ones to make both, well, make the grenades, first of all. And we'll just bring down our power. So the grenades can go in. Grenades, there we go. And they just need appropriate inserters for coal and inserters for... the long-hand inserters, that is. I wonder if there's any way to actually select these things. No, I can change the... Well, I can change the top toolbar with Shift 1, Shift 2, etc. And that'll then let me select something by pressing Shift 2, then 2. But, yeah, I was just wondering if there's another set of shortcut keys for this bottom row. We'll have to actually look into that. However, we've got some grenades coming here. And those will need to be supplied back up onto this line, I think. Yeah, let's just double check that recipe again. Grenades, piercing rounds, and walls. Yeah, that's fine. So if grenades come off onto this line, this way, we should be fine. Do I need some more underground belts? There we go. Oops. There we go. So grenades are going to come up and round. They're going to go onto this side of it. On this side here, we're going to insert just iron, because that's all the initial magazines need. They're going to get long-headed inserted over to this, which is also being fed by these two things here, the copper and the steel. And they're going to go into the piercing around magazines, and then you'll see they arrive up here with everything else. Cool. So if we just get one... and one long hand inserted there, it will then start supplying everything this factory needs to make grey science. And that means we can just insert back out onto this belt and then run this wherever we want to. So in our case, it's going to have to go all the way over. I have to craft more stuff, but you get the idea. I'm going to run it all the way up to around about there. Actually, I think I'm going to run it onto this side and then feed it in parallel. So, like here. Reason being, below this point is going to be blue science. That's the next area down. And it'll consume quite a long way out of here. It'll be double this length. It'll be out to here or so. So we need to basically plan for that ahead. I know, it's crazy. I don't often do it. Enough. As commenters do say from time to time. And we'll just bring in military science all the way down here and make sure we craft enough long-hand inserters to feed them into the labs. So pretty good. Is there anything in here I want for military yet? No, it is going to be coming up soon, but it's an easy one to get started with because blue science didn't appear until I was halfway through this build. So just from an efficiency point of view, it'd be nice if we do that. And then, you know, we're just going to feed onto here. Then we're going to want to feed grey science on one side of it. And it's probably best that I feed it onto the other side. Like this, potentially. There we go. And then if we need blue, we can just feed it anywhere onto the lower side of this belt, which makes it nice to actually get started with. So again, we'll just feed up here. And that will work fine with lots of belt. Yeah. And in fact, that's pretty much too far. I actually just need to run here and here. And we should be able to go this way. That's enough. And we're done with military science. Cool. In terms of ratios here, we need to add a third factory. The reason being, in here we've got a couple of things. So remember that the military science needs a ratio, it's 1, 1, 2, basically, 2 walls, one of each of the others. So if we look at grenades, well, we need to think about that one in a second. We'll come back to grenades. But let's look at walls. So walls, we get, we use up 5 stone brick for every operation, and we make 2 walls a second, a wall every half second. So let's just think about it in terms of numbers per second. So if we get 2 walls per second, then we should also get 1 grenade per second and 1 piercing round magazines per second. So look at piercing rounds if for one, it takes 3 seconds, so we need 3 of them. Now, I'm ignoring for the moment, I know people are going to suggest that these are different crafting speeds. It's not one per second because it then gets modified by crafting speed. However, because we're using tier 2 assembly machines all the way through this thing, then it's all equivalent. So I don't need to worry about the end multiplier, because the only reason I need to do that is to work out if it was consumed by the labs, you know, in a certain rate per second. I'm not going to worry about it. So ignore the crafting speed for the assembly machines, and then just look at the actual number here. So we get 1 every 3 seconds here, which means that we need 3 to get 1 per second. So we got 1 per second piercing rounds, 1 per second, 2 per second walls, I think. Let's just have a look. 2 per second. Yes, and that's only from one of these. So we don't actually need this second one. Good. Fine by me. And then we need to think about grenades. Grenades take 8 seconds to produce 1. So we're going to need more grenades if we're going to keep to the same thing. If we want 1 grenade per second, well, we need 8 of these. 8 of these assembly machines. So let's just make an extra 6, put them in place, which will be relatively straightforward because it's a really simple recipe. And we'll just put them in place down here and feed them back around. Now, I don't see that right now, but that's because we only have 1 machine making these. So let's take a look at how fast it can consume things. In science, it takes 10 seconds to produce 2, and that will consume, let's just say, hang on, so 10 seconds, and the ingredient list there, let me get my words out right, the ingredients list there, we can supply one of those sets of ingredients, or we will be able to, once every second. That means, because it consumes them every 10 seconds, we can support up to 10 assembly machine 2s. So that's pretty good. We've only got 1 going, but we can support a heck of a lot more. And that's easy enough to extend. In fact, we can even make it straddle this line, rather than having a huge long line by putting them either side. But I'm going to just put them one side and just keep this nice output belt and everything. So we don't have to have different inserters on top and bottom. So let's just place these in. So 1, 2. And we shouldn't ever need this for military science specifically. But the problem is largely that the lowest number we can produce is just 1 assembly machine, right? Because we can't have half an assembly machine. So if we're going to rig this for 1 assembly machine on one of the ingredients, well, we may as well match the others to it, and we end up with this situation. So we're going to end up with a fair amount of grenades coming out here, which, if they were biters, would be a very nice thing to have. Of course, we're also using up power and stuff like that, but we don't need to worry about power all that much. And we'll just get all of these fed in. There we go. And the same thing to the side. And there we go. So you can come in, you can come in. And we just need some long-handed inserters for the other side. Have I put them on the inside? I have. Good. And let's just put them there and there. And that's enough to keep everything balanced. And it will be enough to deal with, or at least we can supply, 10 of these. I've got resources for 4 more, which let me put 5 more on there. But yeah, I'll do that off camera. And moving a little bit further back, we've got these furnaces, and the first thing I'm going to do is upgrade them, because I'm not going to worry about these too much in terms of ratios. If you have a look at how much it takes to make brick, it's a really awful ratio. It's 1 stone brick every 3.2 seconds. Okay, so I don't much like that at all. So what I'm going to do is just upgrade these, and let's just have these so that basically the tier 2 furnaces are twice the speed of a tier 1 furnace. So this will get us more stone brick. The reason why I'm not concerned about ratios is I'm going to be using this line for more than just this whole factory setup for grey science. I'm going to be using it to make other stuff that we actually need from stone bricks. So we want an oversupply if possible for that. And let's see, do I want to do anything tricky here? No, I don't think I do. It depends if these will actually upgrade fully the way I expect them to. Let's just grab some more stone bricks. And let's just make another couple of furnaces. Yeah, steel furnaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And they should pocket craft relatively quickly. Yeah. And we can just drop them on top of each other once they've finished pocket crafting. And 1 more. There we go. So that should produce us enough stone bricks. And I have expanded the miners because I'm going to be using lots of stone brick, it seems. So I will be using those. All right, what am I going to be using stone bricks for? As you might imagine, the first use is simply what I've just been doing by hand. I want to have a nice handcraft, well, not handcrafted, sorry, an automated crafting set of furnaces. The furnaces we're already using. So if we just grab those, we should just be able to make that. I'm not going to put it there, actually. I'm going to put it further down. Let's just put it, let's say there. Nice place. And then we'll have a nice buffer area. There we go. And it's furnaces. So there we go. We need steel and stone bricks. Okay, stone bricks can go there. Once they all stop getting taken by this. I've upgraded these to fast inserters, and the same thing further down here. Fast inserters, because when they try to put in stuff that's like 10 copper plate, up to 10 copper plate, it tends to just overwhelm even multiple yellows sometimes. And you can see all these are now running. Everything's backing up because we're not supplying enough walls yet. We don't have enough stone bricks coming through. So I am going to need even more stone than this, I think. So I will try and upgrade that and keep that going. However, once it gets past this point, it will then give us the opportunity to make automated furnaces. And if we just put them there, then that will be fine. I am going to restrict it. Yeah, let's just restrict it to 4 stacks. And you have everything you need for stone bricks. You just need more steel. So why don't I just grab some steel for now? And do I have any remaining stone bricks? I don't think I do. I have some walls for some reason, but let's put in that stone brick. And now I just need to bring in steel, which is relatively simple because it's right here. We can run them down here, I think, quite nicely. And then we can just decide to go underground here, as you might otherwise expect. So let's just get that going. Yeah, right there will do. So then we'll put a splitter in. There we go. And we've got a steel line and we've got a stone line. So then we can just grab a long-handed inserter and that will make a comfortable supply of furnaces. We've already got 2, but we're going to need a lot more than that because we're going to be upgrading all the ones up there to steel furnaces. Okay, I think that's pretty much a nice sort of round episode recording. I'm going to be playing around a little bit more with the stone patch. We can always feed in stone from elsewhere as well, of course. There is more patches around, but this happens to be a nice, easy, convenient one. And, you know, it's trivial to try and get more onto here. Can't always manage it, but, you know, we'll just feed that on if we can. And it's a little bit untidy, but should work. And then we'll feed another couple onto the end. Okay, and of course we can always feed it around from here as well and back on itself and trying to optimize that as much as possible. Even more, we could move these furnaces out or something somewhere else. Just run a stone line that way and then feed them back the other way as far as the stone bricks are concerned. And then we'd have all this patch to actually go for as far as stone is concerned. But again, we'll see how well we get going here. What I want to do is flood this one machine with enough stone bricks that it basically runs out. It runs out. It starts to back up and let it over to our furnace. But I'll do that off camera. Don't need to involve you in any of that. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you have. Subscribe, share if you haven't already, and click on the bell if you want notifications about further Factorio episodes in 0.17. I think what I will do as well is if Bottleneck's updated, I will add that back into the playthrough, because that's a very nice way for you to see if I've done something wrong. Because if something isn't green, if it's either yellow or red, either, you know, its inputs are blocked or its outputs are blocked, and it's an easy visual indicator to point something out in the comments, which is the most important part, just as in Minecraft. Do put comments in the comment section below with advice for your fellow players. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you next time for some more Factorio 0.17.